College Board 10, this is calculator question number 29. We have a classic linear equation here, and instead of y equals mx plus b, we are given h and L. So the h represents our y value. I'm just going to write this here. And the L is representing our x value. So just because they use different variables doesn't mean we still can't figure out, what this question is talking about. They have defined the h right here as the height in inches of an adult male. And they are basing the height of the guy based on the length of his femur. And so if you know what a femur bone is, it is the bone that goes through the top of your leg, the thigh bone, if you will. And so they're trying to predict or base the height of a male based on the length of his femur. And so in this case, what is the meaning of the 1.88? So the 1.88 is the slope. And how do I know it's the slope? Because it's always the number that is with the variable. In this case, it's not an x, it's an L, but they're just using h and L instead of x and y, like I already mentioned. So the x is the length and the y is the height. So it's asking us to interpret the meaning of the 1.88. And so just, kind of a rule of thumb, if you continue to struggle with these interpretation problems of these linear functions, what the slope does is it measures the approximate increase or decrease. If this y value, or if this slope was negative, it would be a decrease. It would be a decreasing function. In this case, since this is a positive 1.88 in our function, it is measuring an increase in whatever the y value is for each additional x. So it's measuring, like, every single time you increase your x value, what is happening to your y value. In this case, it looks like it is going up by 1.88. The height is. So for each additional inch in length of the femur bone, this person's height is going up by 1.88. So what we have to do is read through these four answer choices, and letter A is incorrect because it doesn't have anything about an increase, or again, if it was a decrease, it would be a negative slope. So notice that B, C, and D all have the word increase in them. The slope is always asking about the approximate increase or decrease of the y value for each additional x. And so we have to kind of read carefully between B, C, and D. The approximate increase in a man's femur in inches for each increase of 32.1 inches. It's supposed to be for each additional single inch. So keep that in mind. And we're not measuring an increase in the x value here. The femur length is the x value. That's what the L is. We are supposed to be interpreting an increase in the y value. So that is why the height, this one is pretty important and pretty special. We are measuring an approximate increase in y, and the y here is the height. So this is the only one that says increase in height for each additional increase in femur length. So every time you add an additional inch in the femur, we are looking at an approximate increase in height. So that is why this one is not correct, because we're not measuring femur length here. We are predicting an increase in height based on the increase in femur. Just as another rule of thumb, so this is how you're always going to interpret your slope. In AP Stats, which is one of the courses I teach, we have like a fill-in-the-blank sentence. And it measures an approximate increase or decrease, like I talked about. This number is positive, so it's an increase, but you know that you could have a negative slope too. That would say decrease here. In y, so whatever the y value is, in this case the y value is the height, so that's why I have increase in height. There is our answer. And that clearly eliminates the other two. But to finish the sentence, is an increase in height for each additional inch they have in their femur bone. So that is exactly what the wording of this question says. Letter D, final answer.